everybody. Welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 147. Hello. Hello. Hi, guys. Hi. Before we get into I know I say this all the time at the start of every episode. Before we get into this, I was going to say this one thing. I need to comment on the latest episode of And Just Like That. You guys know, I think the category is hate watching. You know how you watch something and you hate it, but it's like I gotta keep on watching to see how things go. That's where I am with this show. And of course the nostalgia of Sex and the City, which is now And Just Like That, all of that mixed in is fueling me and other viewers like me who are hate watching this show as well. And I just love the commentary and the discussions about it. But let's talk about the latest episode and how Shay is a non-binary fuckboy. That's what it is. And fuckboy is the specific term for it. Even though she's non-binary, she is still a categorized fuck or they. Sorry, because Shay goes by they. That's her pronoun. Oh. See, what the fuck? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You guys, I think I do want to stop screaming sometimes. And I'm a minute in and I've already screamed because I'm trying to be sensitive. But sometimes it's like, nigga, what? What do you want me to call you? You're plural? Okay. But anyway, Shay, I'm just going to keep on saying Shay instead of whatever. Anyway, Shay is a fuckboy, and I am utterly disgusted with Shay's character on this show. I'm particularly disturbed by Miranda's just overwhelming, what is it, like sensation when it comes to Shay. She instantly feels like she's in love with her, with Shay. She feels like she is just so enamored by Shay, and I just don't get it all the way. I think it's something like this. Like, you know, when you meet someone new and you get excited and, you know, the first time y'all have sex, the first time you guys have your first kiss, anything that's a first is exciting, right? So I think with this experience, particularly with Miranda, being that this is her first time with a woman, right, on the show, she is also experiencing sexual pleasure for the first time in a very long time, because in her marriage with Steve, she hasn't been experiencing any sexual pleasure. So when you mix all of that together, you see a character who is immediately going to fall for anyone. And this person just happens to be Shay. And the thrill and the adrenaline rush of it all, of being with a woman, essentially, whether she identifies as one as not or not, she's still a biological woman. Being with someone of the same sex for the first time is, for lack of a better word, it's exciting, right? It's enticing. It's scary. It's a roller coaster. Like, it's all of these feelings that Miranda never felt and she never experienced before. And just being in a marriage that is sexless, it makes her feel even more into Shay than I feel like she would have. You know, I feel like if she would have met Shay under different circumstances, would it still be as overwhelmingly I'm in love with you, Shay, as it is now? And I think not. I think there's a purpose and there's a reason why people and characters, you know, on the show, of course, we know I try to relate it to real life, but I think there's a reason why people come into your life and you feel a certain way towards them. Like, they come into your life for a purpose. And in this case with Miranda, Shay has come into Miranda's life for this purpose, to entice her. She's come into her life at the quote unquote right time, at a time when Miranda has probably had enough of her sexless marriage and her uneventful life. And Shay represents and symbolizes someone, or just excitement, period. She symbolizes a roller coaster. She symbolizes, ooh, that thing you're not supposed to do, but you did it anyway. You got away with it. Shay symbolizes that. So in the next episode that we'll see this week of And Just Like That, we see some conflict happening now between Miranda and Shay, and Miranda being forced to really tell the truth to her husband Steve. I don't know what she's gonna say to him. I don't know what the conversation is gonna be about. I don't know if she's going to present it as such, like, look, I don't want to be with you anymore. I want to be with this person instead. Or I don't know what's going on, but hey, this was like, I don't know. And what's so interesting about it is, for those who have watched Sex and the City, you know that in her marriage with Steve, Miranda was cheated on by Steve. There was a moment, I think it was in Sex and the City 1. Yeah, it was the first one. The second one shouldn't even happen, so I'm not even gonna count that anymore. But the first Sex and the City movie, you see that Miranda was quick to be like, divorce, sign for a divorce to Steve once she found out that he slept with someone else. And I'm trying to think, did he even sleep with someone else, or was it just a makeout sesh? I can't remember, but I want to say he actually did sleep with someone else. And anyway, so he told her, and she was so upset, so heartbroken, of course. And she's a lawyer. Her character is a lawyer, and she was like ready to go ahead and call it quits, like quickly. And what's interesting about that is you have the same thing happening now of now Miranda cheating on Steve, and Steve is not aware of it yet. We'll find out this week what happens. And now you have Miranda, like, I wonder if Steve will have that same energy in return. Because, sometimes it's interesting, because when women find out that their men cheat, sometimes you find the woman more interested in still staying in the relationship and making it work. And in that circumstance with Miranda, she was quick to be like, no, I'm not dealing with this. Bye. And yet Steve was really trying to make it work, right? And now in this case, I wonder if the shoe will continue to be switched. Will Steve like sit back and wait, or is he going to fight for her, or like what is that? I don't know what that even looks like with the whole dynamic of Miranda now liking a woman. Now, I read something recently that says even though Miranda is into Shay, who is a woman, doesn't mean that she's gay. It does not mean that she is a lesbian. It does not mean that she likes all women now and she's attracted to all women. And as strange as that title is, because it was a title of a post that I read on Reddit, of course, as strange as that title is, I do agree with that. I do. I really do. I think there is exceptions. I really do. And y'all know why I'm even saying this. I'm not even going to get into why I'm saying that. But if you know, you know. Many episodes ago, I shared something with you all. And I think it's something to the effect of being with someone of the same sex for the first time and going through the motions of it being the first time and it being exciting and it being, oh my gosh, I shouldn't, like, it's all those feelings come up, and those feelings though will blind you into thinking that you are in love with this person. Feelings are really bullshit. If you really ask me. That sounds very negative. No, not to say they're bullshit. I'm saying when you're in that haze of the early stages, or just the stages of I've never been here before and this is new, it's exciting. There's a haze there. Like you're in a coma. You're not really your full self. And until you get out of that haze, then you could evaluate if you really like this person, if you really are in love with this person. And I'm saying this because I've been there, right? You know, you like someone in the early stages, and you only want to be with them, you only want to see them, and then maybe 3 weeks later, what was I thinking? Like, in a previous situation of mine, I'm not going into too much detail, but in a previous situation of mine, I felt the same way as Miranda. Like, I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm so into this person, and this is it. Like, the fuck? No, it's not. This is not it. You know how you just think back to previous situations, how you was like so into someone, and you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I really liked you. It was you. And this is no shot to anybody. That's why I don't want to get into detail. It really is no shot. It's just like, I think it's important to really stop. Like, just stop. Like, stop getting over, like, what is it? Stop getting ahead of yourself. Stop thinking too much. Stop daydreaming. I've been a victim to daydreaming and getting in the haze of my fantastical wonders, and I will fall in love with the ideas I created in my head. I will really fall in love with the image and the movie that I created of you, of us, of our future, of us having a future, just for me to be blinded to the actual reality of how ain't shit you are. So I'm saying this to say, like, you know, when we get into relationships early on in those relationships and we get so, like, verklempt, I think sometimes, yes, it is actual, it's factual. It's because that person is really exciting and great, and this is new because you've never been treated this way before, right? You've never been loved this way before. And I think that those feelings are great. I'm not talking about that, right? I'm talking about instances when you know this person isn't really who what is it, like, isn't really who you really like that. Like, I remember the person I'm alluding to, that I'm not really getting into detail with, and which I hate being that way, but like, if you know, you know, right? And if you've been listening for episodes on end, then you know what I'm referring to. If you want to know, don't ask. But I remember liking this person so OD. And until I finally stopped liking this person, I thought to myself, what did we have in common? What was it about this person? And I knew what it was that made me draw to this person. I knew what it was that got me excited about it. But I felt like after I got off that haze, I thought to myself, I'm like, there's literally nothing glued to me and this person. Like, there's really no reason why I should be liking as hard as I did. And once I really got myself out of that haze, I saw things for what they were. I grounded myself in the reality of what it was. And I detached myself. What does that mean, Maxine? What does it mean to detach? To me, detaching yourself from someone means really not caring anymore. Like, choosing to not care about anything that they do. Choosing to not be obsessed about them. Like, really controlling your thoughts. Controlling the responses in text messages. I remember this person would text me, and I'm about to say something. The person would text me and would always text me on their time, right? But never would respond to me whenever I would reach out. Would never be available to me. On weekends, this person was always gone. Casper the ghost. ghost from power. Like, person was always gone. And yet, when I wanted to be more intimate with this person was always not available, but yet was available on their own dime. Anyway, I had to finally sit with that reality and realize this is not okay. Snap out of it, Maxine. And once you snap out, like really, once you tell yourself to get the fuck up, snap out of it, you snap out of it. And so once I did that, I really was awoken. Like it really felt like I was in a haze. It felt like I was in a trance or something until I wasn't. Until I decided not to be anymore. And this person had no power over me anymore. Anyway, I hate talking in code, but the point is I understand how Miranda is getting blinded by her really deceitful feelings for Shay. And it's deceitful because it's not like Shay is someone who is whining and dining her. It's not like Shay is someone who is making her feel loved and cared for. Shay is a fuckboy. Oh my, I really cannot stand her. Shay is really a fuckboy. I cannot stand them. But Shay's a fuckboy, and Shay is like, there's every reason to not like this person. There's every reason to not give this person a time, a second, a moment of your day. Yet Miranda is falling victim to Shay because of the newness of it all, the excitement of it all. And that's really the devil right there. That's really the devil. Anyway, there's a moment in the latest episode of And Just Like That, when Miranda finally sees Shay 3 months later from when Miranda sends her a DM on Instagram, which is what Shay told her to do or suggested for her to do after she finger popped her in Carrie's kitchen, while Carrie was in bed recovering from hip surgery. My God, today. What a fucking scene that I'm still gathering myself. I don't think I could watch the episode again. Like, I don't think I could rewatch that. Not to sound homophobic. It's nothing to do with, it's just like, it was just so raw and uncut and unedited that I felt like I shouldn't have been watching. I felt like a child watching the sex scene. It was just so weird. Ew, you know? Anyway, there was, so Shay told Miranda, hey, DM me on Instagram whenever you want to hang out. So Miranda finally does so. I don't know how soon after she did, but she did anyway. So she DMs Shay on Instagram like Shay requested, and Shay never responded. Shay never responded to Miranda. Never. 3 months go by. Miranda finally sees Shay at this charity event, and they finally come into contact. Miranda's acting a little funny style, and then she finally says, well, you never responded to my text or my DM. Shay's acting all, what are you talking about? What DM? I messaged you on Instagram. Miranda, do you not know how much I get high? Miranda, you should have DM'd me again. Go after what you want, right? So like Shay would say these things, like these lines that really speak to Miranda's soul. Her even like the fact that she said that bullshit ass excuse, oh, I'm high all the time, I don't check my messages, or my messages, she also said my messages is so filled with all of these like other spam messages or just messages in general that she doesn't have, she couldn't filter through it and see Miranda's DM. Anyway, I call bullshit. I call bullshit because bullshit is bullshit. Bullshit is what it is, right? Yet Miranda is blinded to that, and she only fixates on the part of when Shay says, go after what you want. Tell me what you want. go after what you want, right? And it's like, yes, those lines are profound. It's powerful. Yes, go after what you want. Who cares? Go, like, I'm for that. If you know, you know, right? Go after whomever, go after whatever you want. Let it be known. You only have one life to live. You never know what can happen. Just go after it. Go for, I'm talking about when it comes to career, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to that man, that woman, whomever your eye, like, go after it, right? I'm totally fine with that. But I think coming from Shay and Miranda getting all googly-eyed, it just sets her up for disaster. And it's triggering for me because there's been moments that I've experienced with past niggas who I've texted and I didn't get a response. Ever. No, ever. It's like, not ever, but like, basically ever. If you don't respond to me within 2 minutes, you never responded to me. Hello? So I'm kidding about that. But no, I am referencing a couple of moments in my situationship with Boston Bay years ago. And this actually happened years ago when we were still in our little thing. And I remember I texted him. I kept on reaching out to him. Or something like, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's up? You know, just trying to make conversation. No response. I think a day went by. No response. Another day went by. No response. And then late in that day, I get a text from him talking about, and at that time he stayed in his basement of the house that he owns, but he stayed in the basement as he rented out the other, you know, that shit that niggas, whatever. He was a homeowner nonetheless, right? In Boston. That's amazing. Great. So anyway, he stayed in the basement, and apparently there was a flooding situation in his basement, and his phone got flooded, and it just, you know, it didn't stop working. So that's why he couldn't respond in the 2 days that I texted him. So he finally responds back explaining that. And I think, look, the paranoid side of Maxine is like, nigga, ain't no flooding happening. Like, what are you talking about? Right? But then the Maxine who is now grown and understanding, I'm not gonna like question that. If you say it's a flooding, then the flooded it is. Like, you know, the light will soon come if you're lying, whatever. But at that time, I was still paranoid Maxine because there's been times prior to that when he hasn't texted me in a timely manner. Like, he'll take days to respond, or he'll take days to start a conversation. Just very like childish. So when he said that excuse, I probably would have believed him if it was the first instance of him delaying a response to my text. So I responded in that moment. I was like, okay, like I think I had an attitude. I was just like, well, why are you just now responding to me? How come you didn't find a way? Like, how come you didn't find a way to reach out? How come you didn't find a way? Look, one thing about me is I don't care. What do you say, Maxine? I don't care about the excuses. You find a way to contact me. Figure it out. Oh, your phone didn't work? Okay, but you have a house phone. You have a landline. You have a work phone. You have snail mail. Like, you have ways to reach out. Okay, I remember one time Freckles Bay, his like main phone dropped and it broke. And he couldn't use it anymore. This was like early on when we started seeing each other. And he, so his main phone broke and we were texting a lot and talking a lot on that main phone. His main phone broke. What did he do, y'all? He reached out to me using his work phone. He went on Instagram, found my account because he was listening to my podcast, so he knew how to find me, whatever. But the point is, he found a way to still reach out. That's like, anything else is unacceptable, right? Anything else, like, I don't care if you lost your hands. You have 2 feet, right? But the point is, like, with Shay, and just like that, she makes these excuses and it just replicates fuckboy behavior. And it replicates Boston Bay when I think about all the times when he said these dumbass excuses that could have been real valid excuses, right? But I still see it as such, right? Maybe, yeah, your phone was broken. No, your phone wasn't able to be revived in 5 hours, right? It's an iPhone nonetheless. You could go to the iPhone store. You could get it fixed. You could get another, like, you could easily get a new phone. You could easily get this fixed. You mean to tell me, as the man that he was, that I knew him to be, who has so many things to do, so many responsibilities, and he was a drug dealer, right? Still is. He needed a phone to get his jobs done, right? That's the point. Like, you need a phone, a flip phone. I'm sure you got a flip phone. I sound triggered right now, but the point is, I remember how I felt. You could have gotten a flip, like, you could have found, like, I just feel like someone who, you have to be on the phone to make ends meet, to make money, right? You know, you slinging rock, doing whatever you need to do to make ends meet. You need a phone. You don't tell your drug dealing lord, hey, I'm sorry, there was a flood in my basement, so I couldn't finish the transaction. No, you get a trap phone. You go to Boost Mobile. You go to Cricket, damn it. Like, you figure it out. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that needs to be the same energy given. Like, the priorities are out of whack. Look, all I'm saying is, there is no excuse. Oh, you couldn't contact me in 3 days? It took Shay 3 months. And had they not seen each other at the event, Shay would still not have reached out to Miranda. My God, today. I'm just appalled. I'm really appalled. I hate that Miranda's going out like this. I hate that. I just hate it. I really hate it. You know, Steve's a good guy. But, you know, if that marriage isn't working out, then it's not working out, then that's fine. But I hate that Miranda is possibly ending her marriage with Steve on the realms of wanting to be with Shay, when Shay really ain't shit. You know what I mean? Like, end your marriage because you're finally up to here with it. I'm not happy. I haven't been happy. You know, it's not just the sex, but the sex is a big deal. We haven't been having sex. We haven't been connected. I want to feel loved. I want to feel passion. I want to feel happy. And you know how, like, go towards happiness. Pursue that. But I hate that she has to pursue that and think that Shay is the pursuit of that. When Shay is really, I think maybe Shay is just supposed to be a representation of the path for her to explore. Not necessarily the person whom she should be with in this path that she's exploring. I don't think she needs to be with Shay exclusively. I think Shay is probably just a door opening to this new life of hers. You know, so anyway, I just feel like there's no excuse. The whole 3 months thing, you figure it out. Yeah, I remember how I felt. Yo, I was so annoyed. And then I was made to feel like the bad guy because he was like, well, he's like, dang, you didn't even ask me if I'm okay. You know, you're not even my girl. Why are you acting like this? Yo, you're crazy. Like, he would, instantly gaslight me. No, nigga. First of all, it's not a Titanic. Are you flooding in the ocean? Shut up. And it's not like a flooding situation. Look, it was not like a flooding situation that happened where he was sleeping and he woke up in a pool of water and he had to swim out of the basement. Like, it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. Stop. So, like, making me out to feel like I'm this bad guy for not caring. Like, first of all, your ass could swim. First of all, you could swim. So why didn't you text me back? No, but oh my gosh, I remember how I felt at that moment. I was so upset, annoyed, and then I was made to feel, and then I felt guilty about that. And I hate that. So, I'm so grateful I'm not dealing with that anymore. And, seeing the transition of being with someone who didn't like really prioritize you and will give excuses as to why, and then being with someone who shows prioritization when it comes to me and meets me where I need to be met. It's like, okay, great. This is a great growth spurt that I'm experiencing. So that's amazing. But yeah, I remember that shit was, you don't know. Why did you ask me if I was okay? Shut up. You're fine. Anyway, let's talk about dating the ugly guy. Let's talk about this topic here. This is a term that's called dating down. Dating down, which is dating someone who is not necessarily someone who looks like your type or looks like the person that people would think would be a good match for you just on the physical. Let me say this. Look, love is love. And I know I get on here and I talk about how much I hate black men with white women. And I get it. And I feel like you can't be a black man if you were white. I get it. What I'm saying is, I do want to talk about that real quick because I feel like sometimes that argument gets over people's heads and people think, oh, well, love is love. Like, I shouldn't not be with someone just because of the color of their skin. You're missing the point. The point is, I'm talking about exclusively black men who exclusively seek out non-black women. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the black man who happens to be with the white woman whom he just fell in love with and it just happened organically. Like, that's natural and that's fine and I support that. Love is love, right? When it's consensual, of course. But that's the point I want to make because I think oftentimes we get so fixated on the PC things to say and we don't have enough room or enough conversations about preserving the black family, the black love, blackness. And when I see more, or when I saw at one point growing up, when I was in college, I saw more black men, like dark, like black men, like black of the berry black men with these lily white girls. I'm just like, oh, something going on? Is there a trend happening? It took me for a loop. And it still takes me for a loop. But anyway, the point is the point. What I want to get into with this topic is that there's another trend happening. There's another trend happening when I see women, beautiful women, like gorgeous, like, oh my gosh, with men who are just not. Let me just say that. They're just not. They're not it. They're not whom I would paint this woman to be with. They're not whom I would even think this woman could, like, I wouldn't even gather the idea or the notion of this woman being with this man. This is, this Instagrammer I follow, black woman, not gonna say her name, black woman who I follow. She's a natural hair, and she has like so many different cute natural hairstyles that she has on her hair, right? Sometimes she'll rock her fro, sometimes she'll rock braids, cornrows, bantu knots, her hair being silk pressed, and her hair is similar to my texture, 4C hair, kinky, thick, full hair. So I love seeing her hair. I love seeing the videos in the different reels and the different pictures of her hairstyles. Beautiful girl. I love her dress. Like, I love how she dresses. Like, she's very style. Like, I love her style. She's a beautiful girl. Aesthetically, she's pleasing, right? Beautiful girl. She's married to a man, and he's not. I'm being nice. I'm trying I'm really trying. I'm trying to explain myself in a way that is not utterly offensive. So bear with me if I'm not like being as clear. But if you get it, you get it. She's with this guy who is just okay. Like every time I see him, I'm like, okay. And I look at like this, I see pictures or videos I would see of her like trying to be cute with him. And it just wouldn't register. Like it doesn't resonate. It doesn't speak to me. I'm not like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. I'm just like, okay. What the fuck? Now this man is, look, there are some very handsome, I'm not being fat phobic either. This has nothing to do with him being of a bigger size. There are very handsome, bigger size men. Don't get me wrong. It's just that with him, it's a lot of things at once. His face looks like he has Down syndrome. His physique looks like he doesn't give a fuck, which demonstrates it's very it's a turn off, right? Like I feel like men who are of a particular size and who continue to be that size and continue to push forward a lifestyle of unhealthy choices. And what I mean by that is I would see him on her page, because I follow her only, but I would see him eat very like just high fat stuff, like just pork, beans. I mean, beans are fine, but like ribs, like literally ribs on ribs. And I'm just like, okay. And this woman, she is beautiful. Like, again, she's beautiful. She's slim. She's like just a regular size. Like, she's just a pretty girl. And I'm just looking at him like, how did this happen? And like his teeth also, like, I don't know, like his face, everything's just like off to me. And I'm just thinking to myself, again, how did this happen? I think it's a situation where they probably were friends for a long time and it just happened. I don't know, but I just can't see him being romantic, sexual. Is she like, ew, I can't even imagine them having sex. I sound very childish right now. I can't even imagine. I really do. But like, the point is, when you look at certain couples and you see just the stark differences and their aesthetics, it's very interesting. So my theory is, he has money. Hello? I mean, why else? Why else is this pretty girl with this not so pretty man? Oh, Maxine, he's a great man. He can't just be so, what is it? Superficial. It's not about superficial. I promise you it's not. Like, right. You know, I agree with the notion of beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I just don't know what eye she's beholding when it comes to, I just don't get it. So when I see something like that and I see the life that she has, you know, I think there's a correlation there. I think something about him is more attractive because he has money. Like, there are ugly men out there who have baddies in their arms, who are surrounded with baddies, right? They may not be one-women men because they have groupie women around them, groupie badass women around them. And this is an example of such, because he may have money and he can afford her a lifestyle that she wants, a lifestyle of luxury. From what I see online, this could all be a lie, but he could afford her such. So why wouldn't she marry him? And he's a nice guy, probably. So it's probably in her head like, look, yeah, he may not be GQ fine, but he's all right with me. He pays for whatever I want and he grants me a lifestyle that I desire. And so it is. So this brings me to another topic of that's in relation to what we're talking about, right? Dating down, dating the ugly guy. This is not character, but this is reality castmate named Lala from the show called Vanderpump Rules on Bravo TV. And she is, again, another beautiful woman, white woman, slim, just beautiful, like just catching, right? She's with this man named Randall, who is not so beautiful. He's a bit pudgy. He is cross-eyed. Like, I didn't know people could still be cross-eyed at the age of 42. Like, I feel like it's one of those things that gets corrected early on. But I guess he didn't correct it early on and he just stuck with it. But I don't know. But for someone to be as rich, quote unquote, as he is, isn't there a way to kind of fix that? Anyway, well, whatever. He's cross-eyed. He's pudgy. He doesn't have a head full of hair. He's not balding, but his hair is not like luscious locks or anything. Right. So he's not someone who is the type that you would think Lala will fall for. But you know what she falls for? The money, because he comes from money, or he has money. He's able to afford her a lifestyle of luxury. He flew her out on jets. He brings her traveling with him, and he buys her a Range Rover. He buys her luxurious goods. Like, he affords her a lifestyle of luxury. And she falls in love, whatever that means, and has his baby. They get engaged. But something happens. Something happened actually a few months ago that made her decide to call it quits. He was found in a hotel lobby with other women, and there were pictures of such just circulating online. But these pictures didn't really show anything too incriminating. You just see a picture of him with like 3 different beautiful women as well. And that was it. That was all that was shown in the video or in the picture. She finds out about it. It was enough for her to finally call it quits, and she walked out. So she's going around on this media tour talking about how she doesn't know why women will fall for him. Like, just look at him. Like, I don't understand why women are flocking to him. Just kind of like dogging him out, which is like, girl, I know you get mad. I think it's more so her anger is fixated on the fact that he is the ugly guy who got off on her, who played her. And it's like, how dare you? Do you know who I am? Type of thing. So I think it's something like that. I think that's the reason why she's more upset. But anyway, nonetheless, you have this example again of how dating down is a thing, but there's a reason behind it. She dated him, although he's not attractive, she still dated him and still stuck with him because he afforded her a lifestyle that she wanted. Same thing with this Instagram girl that I was talking about recently, right before, how her husband is not attractive, in my opinion, and yet she is so beautiful, but he affords her a lifestyle that she probably wants, and that's why they're together. Like, it's a trend, y'all. So when you see the next fine, and it's usually that way around. It's never on some, no, it's never the opposite, right? How you're the pretty, now what's the opposite? The man is beautiful, but the girl is ugly. It's never on that, because the man is more, typically men are more visual creatures, right? They want to be attracted to whom they spend time with, whom they put their dick in. Yet with us women, we fall for the personality and the humor, and he's very kind, he's funny, oh my gosh, he's so funny, but he's ugly as shit. right? Look, I've been there. My ex, Leprechaun Bay, was just that. He looked good on paper. That's all he looked good on. Was paper. That's all. He fit the bill. He was just like, he had accolades about him that made him look good and good enough for me to override my lack of physical attraction towards him. I still remember that time when we was traveling. We was going down the escalator from the airport, and he's in front of me. I'm behind him. He turns around and he like sticks his tongue out at me. Not in that like, you know how little kids will stick their tongue out like, nah, boo boo. Not like that. He sticks out his tongue at me in this like sexual, like, ooh, I can't wait to use this tongue tonight type of thing. When I tell you guys I was so disgusted, I was disgusted with myself. That's what it was. Like, there was no one else to be mad at. I was so disgusted with myself. I was disgusted with the fact that I am here at this airport with this guy who I am not attracted to at all. And he's sticking his tongue out at me, trying to insinuate pussy eating, in which he didn't do well at. Oh my gosh, what was I doing? I was in a haze. I talked about that earlier. I was in a haze. But seriously, what was I doing? I was so into, I don't know, I was just so like in a haze with this guy because I was so fixated on the fact that he looked good on paper. But in that moment when he turned his head at me and he stuck his tongue out, insinuating pussy eating time, I was cringing. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand how I got. You know how those movies or there's like those shows where they freeze in time and they say, you're probably wondering how I got here. That's exactly what I did to myself. Like, I'm probably wondering, how the fuck did I get here? How did I get here? And that's how I felt with him. Like, it was so disturbing. It was disturbingly strange for me to be in a relationship with someone who I did not find attractive, which is what I don't understand with like certain dynamics where, you know, how there's sugar babies and sugar daddies. You have these like very attractive young women who are out on dates with unattractive older men or just men in general. But in the case of sugar daddies, they're typically older men, and they're typically not this like image that they show on TV, right? When I watch Lifetime movies of sugar daddies, they look really fine. Like, okay, okay, George Clooney, hello. But in the case of like real life sugar daddies, they're nothing like that. They're the IT guy who only works in the cubicles and never got any play, but they got money. So they use their money as a way to get bitches. And so that's what's happening here. You see the pretty girl getting with the ugly guy because he has money. He got money. So I just never again. Ever since I left that relationship with Leprechaun Bay, every guy I've messed with since has been fine. Okay? And that's what I said to myself. I said, look, I am no longer, from this day moving forward, I am no longer dating, seeing, talking, spending like anything of the minimum amount of effort to the maximum amount of effort time with a man whom I am not attracted to. And the fact that I even had to say that to myself is really appalling. But look, you got to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And that's where I started. I was like, look, I will not do this to myself anymore. I will be with someone who I am just disgustingly attracted to. Like, oh my, every time I see him, I'm like, ooh. And I'm happy I feel that way now. Like, I'm so happy I feel that way now. But yeah, like ever since I left, you know, me and Leprechaun Bay ended, Every guy after him, I was like, look, if I'm not into him, I'm not into him. I need to walk away. And there were a couple of dates I was on with a few guys who were nice, just like nice guys, but I did not feel it for that. I was not physically attracted to them. And there's something to that specifically. I'm not saying, oh, he's attractive, but no, I'm not saying he's like super ugly and who could be attracted to him. I'm talking about like, it is me. It's I who have to get close to you. It's I who have to kiss you. It's I who have to open my legs to you. If I don't feel physically attracted to you, then don't want to do that. And I should not do that. You know, there's something to that. Like, you have to be physically attracted to the person you're with. And the guys who I went on 2 or 3 dates with since Leprechaun Bay, I was not physically attracted to. And I was like, hey, you know, thank you for the time out. I had a good time, but I'm not interested in this going any further. I just let it be what it was. I remember one guy responded, it was like, oh, I'm sorry, you hear that? Oh, I don't know what he said. What did he say? He was like, oh, okay, well, you know, if you ever want to talk again, I'm here, whatever. That's what he said. I remember him. What did I call him? Autism Bay? No, I think he had not autism. He was definitely on the spectrum. Definitely on the spectrum. Okay. But I said that to him and he was like, you know, whenever you want to talk again, like trying to, nigga, I just told you I'm not interested. Like, I told you I physically am not, like, I don't see, I was very nice. I was diplomatic with it. I was just like, look, I just don't see anything more with this. You know, I only see you as a friend or like a brother or whatever. However I said it. He initially respected that, and then he ended up texting me again a few days later. Not even a few, probably a day later, talking about, hey, how's it going? What? I just don't understand. If you go on a date with someone and the first date, well, like, that's the first time we've ever met. Like, we only met to date. I didn't meet you to date and possibly just be friends. Like, that wasn't my intention. And I tell you, hey, I don't see this going any further. That means don't ever talk to me again. That's what that means. Like, what? Anyway, going back to dating down and dating the ugly guy, I think a lot of times women who do that are doing it for monetary reasons. Are doing it because the man can't supply them. The man can afford them what they desire materialistically, what they desire lifestyle-wise. And I'm not that girl. I'm not that girl. You can't buy me. You can't buy me to love you. Oh, excuse me. You can't buy me to sleep with you. It's gonna be a no for me, dog. It's gonna be like, it's the bare. I really can't fake it. And sometimes I look at these women who go on dates with guys just because, oh, well, it's a free meal. Like, it'll be the bare minimum. Oh, well, it's a free meal. I can't even do that because I could have continued dating that guy, but I could not. I really could. I couldn't even muster up. I remember that time. It was like years ago. It was like my first year living in Houston. And it was still like in the stages of, I'm lonely. I don't have any friends yet. You know, well, you know, shouldn't I just make friends and, you know, continue dating this guy and just spending time with him? No, I still said to myself, hell no, like, I will be alone still. I will be alone still. I am not attracted to you. It's going to be a no for me, dog. It's going to be a no for me. Like, it's not a maybe. It's not a, oh, we'll grow into it. I have to feel that instantly. I do. I really have to feel that instantly. So, yeah, like, even though he reached out to me after I said, hey, it's gonna be a no for me, dog. I could have been like, well, let me just suck it up and just go out. Maybe, maybe he'll just change. Maybe he'll. Nope. I don't feel it, and I can't fake the funk. So I just don't understand the women who can. I would not, like, I can never be that girl. And sometimes I think, like, damn, I wish I could be that girl. I wish I could go ahead and sleep with this guy or go on a date with this guy and he liked me so much that he's paying for this, he's paying for that. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Nope. I'm fine. I could afford my own lifestyle enough, right? Like, no, I can't. Nope. But yeah, I just cannot. So yeah, that is my theory when it comes to beautiful women who have ugly partners. That is my theory. Let's talk about Pastor Mike Todd. Oh my God. Let's talk about pastors and their full of shit antics. So Pastor Mike Todd is a pastor, and he is like a millennial pastor. A lot of millennials follow him, and he's like that cool youth pastor that you may be familiar with because maybe your church had one. And we know what they look like. They do the cool antics of trying to get the youth to believe in God and come to church on time or come to church at all. So he's one of those pastors. He's a black man, Mike Todd. He's married. He has children. He's a pastor of some church in some state in America. He recently came out and spat on one of his parishioners. Literally, like, spit on him. He spit on... So the Pastor Mike Todd spit on his hand. I didn't watch the video because I'm disgusted by it, but I'm assuming this is what he did. I saw a still image of him spreading the spit on this parishioner's face. Okay? And like a whole loogie spit. You know that spit where like your sinuses are congested, your nose is congested, your allergies are acting up. It's that type of spit, like that thick, gooey, see-through spit. You know what I'm talking about. That's the type of spit that he spit on his parishioner, on one of his parishioners. And it's a black man he's doing it to at that, which is like, girl, what? So I'm saying girl what? Because I feel like as a black man, the guy, I feel like he should have fought him. Like, he should have punched him in his face. Like, nigga, what the fuck what are you doing? Like, that would have been a good opportunity to go ahead and punch him right then and there at the altar. But, anyway. So, he spat at him, and he's, like, wiping his blood, the blood of Christ. He's wiping the spit on his face, and he's professing the story of how your faith should be bigger than your fears, and like you should walk by faith and not by sight. You should not have fear because you have faith. And I think what he was getting at, again, I did not want to watch the video because that's disgusting, but I think what he was getting at is that despite me putting my spit on your face, you should have enough faith to know that you're covered in the blood of Christ and that you won't get sick by this, right? Like, there's no, like, COVID shouldn't separate us, and it should instead bring us closer, and we shouldn't get so sucked into the fear mongering that is of the media. Look, I'm adding all this part in because I, again, did not watch the video. I'm just assuming that's where he's getting at, because why else would you put spit in my face? What type of move are you trying to present to the media aside from COVID stuff? Like, spit, COVID goes hand in hand. So I feel like that's really where he's going with it. Let me go ahead and click the link. Hold on. Let me see if I could just read about it real quick because I'm so disturbed by it. It's so fucking gross. So this is literal image of him swipe. Yeah, he swiped. Okay, so the title of this headline is Pastor Mike Todd Psalms swipes Leviticus loogies, which is they're trying to be funny, play on words. Leviticus loogies across parishioner's face. Mucus ministry criticism commences. Shout out to Bossip.com. So the point of him saying is basically you should have crazy faith. You should have enough faith in the world, enough faith in God, not the world actually. Enough faith in God to just override any fear mongering that the media, that all of the antics of this world tries to give. And what is so disturbing by this is that his demonstration is to push forward a more faithful society, right? Which on one hand I understand, right? I understand how it's necessary. I come here all the time telling you guys to not fall victim to fear, especially in the fear mongering that's going on in the media, particularly when it comes to this pandemic. Now, I also want to make it clear that if someone is spreading their loogie spit on your face, punch them in their face. Like, that's not an example of you trying to demonstrate your faith is bigger than your fear, right? It's not an opportunity to demonstrate how much faith you have in the Lord because you're allowing this man to spread his spit on you. Like, it's just so, the worst way to really disrespect someone is spitting at them, because spit really demonstrates your lack of respect towards me. Like, you really look at me as dirt. You spit on the ground. You don't spit on a human being. You spit at trash. You don't spit on a human being. So if you're doing that to a human being, what is that telling me? That's telling me that you see me as such. You see me as the ground that you walk on. You see me as trash. Anyway, so here's a quote. He can't see, but he can hear, said the Crazy Faith author while holding spit in his hand as a man stood next to him with his eyes closed. This is the moment where many of us are in. God is doing something and we hear him changing. We hear him even in prayer, and you don't see it clearly yet, but you hear it. Added the pastor before hawking up spit again and cradling it in his hand. So he's cradling spit literally in his hand as he's saying these words, and he is spreading it on the face of this parishioner, who I believe is his brother, actually. So I think his brother knew what was going to happen, and maybe he probably saw it fit to have my brother up here instead of an unrelated person at the altar right now. He quotes, "This is where most people would not face Jesus anymore. What most people would do is turn away." He added while coughing up even more spit. "What I'm telling you is, just as he's physically standing here knowing what's coming, God is saying, can you spiritually, physically, and emotionally be able to stand when getting the vision to receiving it might get nasty?" Okay, so the nasty part is obviously the spit. So, like, he does these antics to really get the conversation going, to have us see things bigger than what our eyes could see. Like, there's a motive behind it. I think he knows what he's doing, and he has been viral for a while now. So I think he knows the algorithm and what needs to be done to really be a topic here on God Built This podcast. Hello. Which is enough to say about this person, right? It's enough to say about this pastor who really wants to get the algorithm going. But it really speaks to just the fabric of these types of pastors, these like youth pastors who use these crazy antics to really get the youth and just young people in general to follow them and to agree with them and to acquiesce to what they're saying, to what the word is saying, and all these things. And it's like, but you spit in my face though. What? So it's disgusting, it's disturbing. The message could still be shared in a way that's not fucking disgusting. Like, it doesn't have to do, like, you don't have to do all of that. So that's disturbing. But this opened the door to previous things that Pastor Mike Todd has said at the pulpit, and it is causing quite a stir because, you know, when you are someone who believes in the Bible, who follows the Bible word by word, or maybe you're just someone who grew up on the Bible and you may not follow word by word anymore, but you know the Bible and you know the stories and the lessons and all of that. When people use the Bible as a way to justify or to condemn or to demean or to trap you into whatever you're in because, well, the Bible says so, I think it's manipulative. I think it's demeaning, really. And I think it's just another way of spiritual abuse overall. So in a previous sermon, it was a little while ago though, but it was a sermon nonetheless, Pastor Mike Todd said that he said that there's no other justifiable reason to leave a marriage other than infidelity, because infidelity is the only reason given in the Bible to justifiably leave your marriage, to justifiably get a divorce. And he states other reasons that people would say to justify their reason for a divorce, right? People will say, well, we just grew apart. He said that's not a good reason. He said, well, we just don't relate anymore. He said that's not a good reason. And then he gives the example of he hit me. And he's like, and he's saying this on the pulpit. You know how you got to be a bit exaggerative when you're a pastor, a preacher, all of that. And he's like, oh, y'all not gonna like this. Security better back me up when I get off the stage. I'm not gonna like this. And he doubles down on it. He says, even if he hits you, it's still not a reason to get a divorce. And he gives a bit elaboration in the clip that I saw. I didn't watch the full thing because, again, I'm not interested. But he gives a little bit elaboration on, well, he could leave the husband who's hitting his wife should leave the house, correct his behavior, but return and continue in this marriage. The wife should still not leave him. The wife should still not file for divorce. The wife should still try to make it work. And so should the husband. And so, of course, this is causing a stir, right? This is, of course, horrible rhetoric to be pushed in the church, especially in the church when you have vulnerable people who are looking for leadership, who are looking for help, who are looking for just mercy. And you have this rhetoric push. And it's disturbing amongst many levels because, like, I personally know people who have been married. Like, I have an aunt who was married to her husband until he passed. And throughout their marriage, he was physically abusive. Just, like, horrible. And, like, I remember stories that my cousins would tell me about the many moments when he would hit their mother. And I think about, you know, all her life, all her upbringing in church, and her having to hear rhetoric as such, right? Like rhetoric, like, you know, divorce is bad. God doesn't like divorce. Divorce is ugly. And it just fuels me even more to say, go after what you want, go after your happiness, pursue your happiness at all costs. Because you don't want to, one, die in a marriage because you're in an abusive one and you don't feel supported or encouraged to leave because Pastor Mike Todd said don't. Don't harbor the guilt of leaving or wanting to leave a marriage because you want to protect your life and your safety and all that. But you can't, because Pastor Mike Todd, amongst men, it's not just Pastor Mike Todd. This is a normal rhetoric that is pushed consistently in many churches, not just like ones who are more famous. So I think overall, when you have this push, it's disturbing, it's dangerous, it's not okay. At the very least, it's not okay. What was I gonna say? It's not okay. Oh, so he justifies his point by saying it's not biblically sound, right? And if you know the Bible, you know that is true. That is, unfortunately, it is true, right? There is no exceptions to divorce other than infidelity, which is strange because back then, polygamy or polyamory, whichever one it was definitely prevalent during that time. Yet, infidelity is the only justifiable reason to get a divorce. But physical abuse, sexual abuse, any sort of that, I feel like even the reason of we fell out of love. I'm not happy. We've been trying to make it work, but it's not working. That's enough. Like, I don't think we have to go down to the extremity of he hits me every day to get a divorce. It could just be I woke up and I've been waking up the past 3-4 years and I've been realizing I'm not in love. Hello? Like, that also could be enough. That's just my take. But anyway, biblically, what he's saying is accurate, which is the harsh truth. It is the harsh truth. It's not like he's lying. That is what the Bible says. It is biblically accurate. But we got to go back to that point in time. You have contextually a time period when it was allowed, encouraged to rough up your wife from time to time. That was of the norm. You do that. Like, what do you mean you didn't hit your wife? She didn't cook food, bitch. Like, that was the thing to do. So, of course, the Bible wouldn't recognize that as abuse. That, like, sexual abuse is not even recognized in the Bible even then. Like, the term sexual abuse. Like, there are situations in the Bible where you have Bathsheba and David. Bathsheba was actually, she wasn't, well, you gotta look at it like this. Like, she was coerced to have sex with King David. She couldn't have said no. She couldn't have resisted him because he's a king. She's a servant girl. She has to obey him and go ahead and have sex with him. What is that an example of? Coercion. That is a part of, that's the sexual abuse umbrella. So, but this is not a term that's said. Like, it wasn't said in the Bible. It's not clearly noted in the Bible. Maybe it isn't, maybe they reword the Bible now. But in the in the Bible that we grew up on, that's not a term that was ever discussed. So, yes, of course, the Bible will just dismiss that as a justifiable reason to get a divorce. I just think, when we look at certain texts and we take away the context of it and we think this is the exact way to live life today, I think it's just a dangerous road to walk on. It's a dangerous lifestyle to live. I feel sorry for people who are easily manipulated. I feel sorry for people who don't have a mind of their own. And it's whatever pastor says goes. It's whatever Dr. Fauci says goes. I gotta bring him in. But it's whatever they say goes. It's never on some, hold on, that doesn't make sense. Hold on. My happiness means a little bit more to me than that. Hold on. This is not healthy. Like, we can't keep on doing that. And I think God will understand. I really do. I really do. I really wish people would just get to know God for themselves. I really wish people would create their own and develop their own personalized relationship with God and not allow a rhetoric type like this to push them away from God, to have them thinking that, oh, this is what God wants. You have to speak to God yourself. And it disturbs me because you have pastors like Mike Todd who will put a bad mouth of Christianity and the love of God and the Bible, because there's a lot of good in the Bible that you can follow, that you can adhere to, and you can find peace with. But there's a lot of different parts in the Bible that may need a trigger warning. It may be like, you may have to say, hey, look, this is a disclaimer. This has happened, 24 AD, and it's not behavior that we should repeat today, but we're reading this because of context, and we're reading this because of history, and that's why we're reading it. Like, I think that should be a disclaimer for a lot of different stories in the Bible. What's the other story? Like, you have Abraham about to kill his son. That's hard. Like, that's not an easy story to read. Yet, I remember growing up on that story, and I'm just like, okay. We need disclaimers on the Bible. I don't know. I just think sometimes when we are blindly obeying people, when we're blindly following and not asking questions and not wondering why that is, and let me find out for myself. Let me ask God directly. I don't need to go through a priest. I don't need to ask none to write this letter for me to Santa. Like, let me figure this out for my own. Until we get to that point, we will continue to be manipulated. We will continue to be talked down to and easily robbed spiritually, sexually, financially, mentally, emotionally. It goes on and on. So, I'm just disgusted. I'm disturbed. I need people to wake up. From the church too. Like, it's everywhere, from the media, from the government, from the church, from, like, really be your own self. Really, like, child, be your own. This fucking disgusting video. But yeah, I really think that's his brother. They look so much alike, and I think someone said that that's his brother. So he probably knew what was going on, what would have happened. Child, it's a mockery at this point. I think, examples like him and other pastors like him, it's just, at this point, you're doing us a disservice. Like, you're doing God a disservice. You're doing the church a disservice. It's really sad. It's disturbing to watch. And I wish that there was other nuances of Christianity. Instead, we only see examples of pastors who we shouldn't follow. Pastors who we shouldn't abide by. Pastors who are so disconnected from reality that they can't really relate to people who are in reality. Ooh, child. Anyway, let's go ahead and end it here. Thank you all for listening. Okay, so real quick before I end, I decided to add a link in my show notes that allows for you as listeners to comment on any topic that I've discussed, or maybe a topic that you want me to discuss. You could do so in a voice memo form. So what that means is you go to the show notes, you'll click that link, it literally tells you, here's a voice memo, whatever. You'll read it and you'll see what I mean. Click the link and you'll have a minute long to share your take on any topic that I've discussed or any topic that you want to bring up and I could discuss it as well and comment and allow for you to have your, your voice heard on my podcast. And I'll play the audio of your commentary live here on the podcast. So if you are interested in sharing your commentary audio wise on my podcast, please click the link in the show notes and let your voice be heard. All right, you guys, thank you guys for listening, and I will check in with you guys next time. Goodbye. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.